Hi, I'm Mark Smith. I run Smith Performance Inc. and we make car to truck conversions, and this is going to be pretty much a overview of every tool you're going to use building a Smith Ute. And each of these tools, some of them are critical, some of them are optional. I'll try to explain the benefits of each separate tool and how I use them so you can save some time. You're going to hear a lot of Harbor Freight in here just because not only are they down the street everywhere around the United States, but a lot of these things you may only use once or twice in your life, which is perfect for a cheap but usable Harbor Freight tool. So here we go. The Smith kit comes with aluminum panels, fiberglass, all of the fasteners that you're going to need to build this car. The first thing you're going to do when you build a Smith Ute is you're going to cut the car, you're going to cut the roof, you're going to cut the quarter panels, things like that. I use, this one here is a Cobalt from Lowe's. I haven't seen one of these at Harbor Freight yet, but it's a mini Sawzall. And the blades we use are the 14 or more, 14 or 18 teeth per inch. They're the very fine blades. And the reason is when you're cutting metal, these go a little slower, and the higher the tooth count, the less likely you are to grab the metal. And when you cut metal, like when you're cutting a metal roof on the car, you're going to keep it at this angle. Don't cut like this, cut like that. Just a little tip. Harbor Freight has a bunch of bigger saws for like 30 bucks, which are a bargain. Don't be afraid to use a bigger saw, but the little one just is easier on my old man arms. Short blade and a long blade. I was telling Cooper the other day, on the longer blades, I like the thicker ones. This is a thinner one. I like the 1-inch thick ones because they don't bend and fold as much and they cut a straighter line. But you're gonna want one of these 8 or 10-inch blades if you're doing a Charger or a Jetta, for instance, to go through 3 or 4 layers of steel. So a short blade, long blade, they're like $5 for a package of 5. Nothing as far as cost goes. Generic small grinder, the big grinders cut too fast. I like the little 3.5-inch grinders. This one's Harbor Freight for 30, 40 bucks. You don't use it a lot, but when you need it, you need it. It cleans up a lot of rough areas on the steel of the car. It just, in general, it's nice to have around. Anything like this is a battery-powered 3/8-inch drill. The chuck should be able to take a 1/2 inch maximum. Some of these drill bits that we use have tapered chucks, but some of them don't. And so if you have a 1/2 inch drill bit that you want to use around the house, not just for a car, make sure the chuck takes a 1/2 inch drill. This brand, the Porter Cable, I think this is, Cooper, 5, 6 years old. Just awesome brand plug for Porter Cable. With the drill, you're going to use a ton, and I should probably include these in the kit. It's a self-tapper, number 8, Phillips head drive. They have a little tiny drill bit on the end. You really can't miss them. These were self-drilling number 8 by 3/4 screws. Instead of riveting everything and then drilling the rivets out, these little 3/4 inch self-tappers are great for pre-assembling all the pieces. They're just money. Tape measure, of course. These are Harbor Freight, are like 20 bucks. It's not meant for solvent paints, it's meant for dust. We love these in the shop. We use them. It's a little better than the white, paper masks. They form fit. If you're doing anything dusty, especially with fiberglass outside, number 1, wait for the wind to blow so the stuff goes away from you when you cut it. And number 2, wear one of these. They're fantastic. Harbor Freight again, deerskin gloves, $5. When you're cutting metal, can't say this enough. Anytime you're going near metal that's been cut or you're going to cut, your hands are going to bleed unless you wear these. And you'll think, oh, I'm just going to cut this little, good Lord. I've cut so many times being just dumb and not wearing gloves. Eye protection, same things. I don't have a set of the goggles, but the clear Harbor Freight $1 safety glasses. Just be smart. You only have one pair of eyes. Harbor Freight flashlights. It sounds silly, but having 100 of these around the shop, they're $1. Just keep as many as you want. Flapper discs, 3.5-inch flapper discs for your grinder. Grinding wheels are great, but flapper discs give you a little more control. You can go anything from sanding paint or gel coat off a part all the way down to grinding metal and aluminum with these flapper discs. Rubber mallet, when you're positioning some of the fiberglass, sometimes, especially the rear surround, you're gonna wanna tap things. Don't tap fiberglass with a solid hammer. Use a rubber hammer. The big hammer is mostly for the Beetle guys. There is one curved support on the beetle that half of the beetles have that you have to whale away on it to dent it down 1/4 of an inch. That's what you need. I mean, most of this stuff is stuff you have in your shop already. I can't emphasize it enough, whether it's a Charger or a VW. This is a Bentley manual for the VW, not just the, this one is a Jetta Golf GTI. The Beetle has its own manual. The Bentley manual, when you get stuck or when you need to know how an interior piece comes off, you just got to have it. You can get through the project if you know what you're doing around cars. You can get through the project, but there are some little areas that I may have missed in a video that'll be sitting there in black and white. You should have it. When it comes to fasteners, I only use a right angle drill in one spot, and that's mounting the rear surround fiberglass to the flat edge. And if I've already put the window in, the window is here, and I've got to drill a hole, whether it's on top of it or underneath. A right angle drill accessory bit is fantastic. I only use it, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 holes in the whole car, but having it makes a difference sometimes. Not every car needs it, but it's a great piece. 3/16 drills. On the Mark V kit, we actually supply 3/16 super hardened drills for bits for the boron steel. But 3/16 bits, Harbor Freight, once again, a package of throwaway, 5 or 6 of them, a couple of bucks. Volkswagens have what's called a triple square, whether it's your drive shafts when you're doing mechanical work or your door bolts. A triple square is just what it is. It's 3 squares offset, and several of the bolts need a triple square. So bring your bolt with you if you can't. They sell them in a package of 3 at AutoZone, I believe, but they're called triple square bits. This one's on a socket. Usually they come with a 1/2 inch shank that you just put a 1/2 inch wrench on and use. 5mm Allen. This is a 5mm Allen bit. It fits the millions of stainless steel fasteners that we use to build the kit. When you bolt it together, you're gonna have the Allen on one side and then a 13mm on the other. And so 2 sockets, one with the Allen, one with the 13mm, boom, 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 and you've got it. Let's see here, towards the end. The other power tool I absolutely am in love with these days is, and I'll give you the exact name, it's a 1/2 inch air belt sander from Harbor Freight. Very inexpensive. It's it's an air sander, but it has a belt of 80 grit, 30 grit, whatever, 36 grit. When you pull this trigger, you can get inside of corners, especially for fiberglass. You can get inside of corners. You can do a round inside radius on the gas cap when you're trimming the fiberglass. One of the most valuable tools in the shop, and I just recently got one when I saw Jared Pink building his Charger. He was using this, and I knew it existed, but didn't realize how valuable it'd be. Love this tool. Our general small flat DA sander, once again, this is Harbor Freight. This one just died after 9 years of use in the shop. 30 bucks. Lasted 9 years of heavy duty use. You'll never get another one if you're a person at home. 6-inch sander, once again, just for doing the fiberglass fitting. If you have to sand one of the edges of the fiberglass, great tool, cheap money. Regular silicone and 3M window weld for the urethane adhesive. Regular caulking gun, you're gonna need one of those. The special caulking gun that's a dual cartridge for the panel bond. This says panel bond. This is the generic. This brand is Smart panel bond. Now they're all the same. They have the hardener and the adhesive. The generic panel bond I've been very impressed with. 3M invented panel bond, so they obviously cost a little bit more. But panel bond is what you use to mount the fiberglass to the metal, like in the rear surround, wherever you have a sliding joint that you want to last forever, panel bond. And they do sell a special gun for that panel bond. The 2 of them together, I think, is 90 bucks if you pay full price. Amazon's got a bunch of them for 30 bucks or whatever, but you'll want the dual stage, one small, one large. Can't miss it. It's a panel bond gun, very beefy. This one was a 3M product. Really, and when you have the panel bond, you're gonna want a stack of these tips. You go to Amazon and you buy the panel bond, mixing tips. So much cheaper than buying them from 3M or buying the official ones from the companies that make the panel bond itself. These things are $1 a piece or so if you buy them in bulk. You get 6 in a package on eBay. Not too bad. One of the other things I've noticed is when you're fitting several of the aluminum parts, like the B-pillar brace right behind the front door, it's great. Now that's a clamp, right? It's great to be able to reach 12 inches or so, on the Charger even more, and clamp a piece of aluminum together to a steel flange with a long pair of vice grips. You don't need, these are 18 inches, I think. You probably only need 12 inches of depth, you know, for the clamp. One of these is all you need. And then a whole complement. If you go to Harbor Freight, you know, these are a couple of bucks a piece. I get the small ones, the medium-sized ones. You know, I buy 4 or 5 of each, and you're pretty much good on vice grips. The other thing at Harbor Freight, again, are these 3-inch spring clamps in plastic. I use these when I'm clamping fiberglass, especially on the Beetle. You know, when I'm clamping an inner liner or an inner piece, and I'm panel bonding something lightweight to a piece of fiberglass, these 3 or 4 of these holding the piece in place while the panel bond cures overnight. Fabulous little tool. Once again, cheap, cheap, cheap. Maybe $1, no big deal. All right, for those of you with really strong forearms, mine are getting stronger after 20 years of using this, it works. There's a lot of rivets on this car. So if you want to go to Harbor Freight and grab the Central Pneumatic $25 Air Assist Riveter, I highly suggest it. I mean, rivet gun's a rivet gun. I like the noses on the rivet guns that rotate so you can get in little corners. Not a lot of hard access or difficult access rivets on this car. So big air guns like that, big guns like this, it's all you need. So, you know, this is just a wire stripper. You're gonna be stripping wires. You're gonna be squeezing fat, you know, the little connectors together. Get a good pair. The really, really cheap pairs are difficult to use. Voltmeter and ohm meter, they're really cheap. When you're doing your bulbs or you're tracing, you know, every now and then you need to know if a ground is a ground. You have an ohm meter. You're gonna wanna know if the fuses are on or off. You know, when you're doing taillights and bulbs with flashers, you know, red and black, 12 volt, see if there's current, invaluable when you're sitting there all alone. This is the emblem tape from 3M. You know, this stuff, if you put an emblem on the back of the tailgate of a Jetta and you're covering the 3 holes with our little plate that we give you, the super thin emblem tape, they sell stuff that's almost 1/8 of an inch thick. You want the super, super thick or thin emblem tape. A file just for the edges of the aluminum if they're rough, no big deal. A couple of hole saws if you're doing the Charger, no big deal. I believe we've covered everything that we need. The level on the front is simply for lining up the floor pieces so that you can set them and make sure they're all in one plane. The last thing I'll mention is 3/8 of an inch butyl rubber for the sealing of several pieces in the kit. I love this stuff. No, water does not get by it. You use that and 3M window weld urethane and you are set. That's all for today. Gotta go.